everybody, I'm back again. As I said before, this was originally going to be like one solid video, but now it's being split into part 3. So this is Stolas' video, and I'm super excited to get into this one because, well, there's a lot. But let's get into the nitty gritty before we get to the redesign. Okay, Stolas, again, is kind of like Lucifer, where I don't mind the design or have truly any beef with it, other than the weird-ass inconsistency with his coat/onesie thing. Like, is it a onesie or not? The team can never seem to make up their minds. I mean, even the newest stand that they're selling looks like a onesie. Anyway, there's nothing super ugly about Stolas' design. He just looks like he's wearing a costume of a royal coronation outfit. It still looks nice, don't get me wrong, but it's still kind of like cliche in a way, and just like not as unique as it could be. Personally, the outfit I think I love the most of Stolas's is the one from his portrait. Like, I would have loved to have him wear this all the time. Obviously with like a little bit more color than just solid black, but you know, the overall aesthetic is so pleasing. Like, very royal, very gothic chic. I think my biggest issue in general is the hat. Like, I legit hate it. Honestly, I hate all the top hats every character seems to have. Like, only character I can see wearing one is probably Husk, but he wouldn't be wearing it consistently, only like when he's doing magic or whatever. And maybe Alistair, but mostly for fancy parties. Anyway, I know the hat is supposed to make it look like he's a long-eared owl, but it looks crazy. Even in side view, it just looks weird. Plus, why a top hat and a crown? You're literally putting a hat on a hat, and it just looks kind of tacky at the end of the day, because it's just like those two things don't really go together. And then not only that, it looks really flat. So, and I have to say this, but I hate this combo so much. Like, I hate it on Stolas, I hate it on Lucifer, and I hate it on Octavia. It's just so ugly. Like, I know we like to play with different things and fashion is subjective, but this is the one thing that I'm like, no, just no. Ugh. But, like, I actually love when he's not wearing it in general. And so far, I'm not the only one. Seeing as how, like, 80% of the Stolas fan art doesn't have him wearing it. Anyway, Stolas is an okay character. Like, he's kind of cringe sometimes, but overall, he's somewhat well-rounded. Like, I love his dynamic with Octavia. Very believable. Though sometimes inconsistent. But his dynamic with Blitzo, for me, is kind of, like, all over the place. Again, YouTuber Just Stop sums up their relationship issues perfectly. But, you know, for me, I enjoyed Stolas in the pilot. I also really enjoyed the original voice actor from the pilot as well. I don't know, I like the tone that he had versus what we have now. And that's mostly me with my sound issues. But, you know, as the series has progressed, I find that I just, like, really don't like Stolas. And it has nothing to do with him cheating on Stella. That's not why I don't like him. I just, like... His character kind of fluctuates so much. And obviously, people do tend to zigzag left and right when it comes to emotion and stuff like that. But sometimes, Stolas really just acts like things don't make sense. It's so hard to explain how I feel about Stolas, because it's just one of those. He's not making sense at the time. And I have to keep reminding myself that it's not Stolas in general, it's the way that he's written that makes him so confusing for me. But I also find it funny that even though Stolas is a more well-rounded character, he still has a ton of writing flaws. Like, his conversation with Octavia, you know, very impactful, very nice and stuff, but it's just like you invited the man that, like, is kind of crushing Octavia's worldview of her parents. Like, why did you think that was a good idea? And why did you choose to flirt in front of her the entire time? Like, I find it so weird, because, like, his original plan was to make her happy and take her out, but, like, he immediately was like, oh, let me take my, you know, booty call along with me. What, won't that be the most fun, family-friendly adventure with my child? Like, no. He's such a weird character. Like, some of the things they make him do, I'm just like, why? Anyway, also, I've talked about this before, but for this reimagined version, I am retconning Paimon as Stolas' dad. What I think would have worked a bit better with the biblical lore and the timeline would be that Stolas is not the original fallen angel, but is part of a long generation of replacements since Stolas, the original fallen angel, not the one in the show, is a lesser class demon, though technically second level, but still, it's not super unlikely that he was also a lesser ranked angel, and easily could have died during the war. So OG Stolas, original fallen angel Stolas, probably would have died in the war, which would have made sense for the potential backup air system they have going on, since it seems each Stolas is destined to die young, if the song Stolas sang to Octavia has any indication. Because, I mean, it doesn't make sense if Paimon is the one suggesting that Stolas have a cautionary air when, like, wouldn't Stolas technically be Paimon's cautionary air? It doesn't make sense, you know? And I don't like the idea of Paimon fathering so many children, because I know there are 72 demons in the Ars Goetia. The only way these biblical figures are related to each other is by basically brotherhood, because, again, they are technically fallen angels, and nearly every angel born is related to each other. So Paimon being Stolas' dad is like, I'm your brother, father. It's just weird. So yeah, if I could change the show, that's what I would do. I would make our current Stolas a replacement heir, like he knows he's a replacement heir, and have the name be passed down, similar to how the English monarchies do it. Plus it'd be a really fun dynamic if, like, every single heir had been male, and then now Stolas has his firstborn daughter, which is female. And then all of a sudden he's getting a divorce with Stella. And the Ars Goetia are just like, you're going to have another kid, right? We don't know how we feel about her being the next Stolas. But anyway, I'm rambling on to the redesign. Okay, just like Lucifer, Stolas is a biblical figure, though technically a lot lower than Lucifer. I mean, I don't think anybody can outrank that man. But in the Lesser Key of Solomon, his description is pretty much an owl with a crown. It does say that he has two other forms. One is a raven, and then I think the other one was human. So, you know, but I can see why Viv went with a more anthropomorphic look. Though, as someone who loves owls like crazy, like if it was legal for me to have one, I 100% would have one. But personally, I don't feel Stolas represents the owl type he's based off of enough. The Lesser Key of Solomon doesn't give a clear description of what type of owl Stolas is. But based off the image we have of Stolas, it depicts him as a long-eared owl or a horned owl. You know, they tend to go hand in hand with each other. But Stolas looks more like a barn owl mixed with a lesser sooty owl, and his hat isn't helping when taken off. Obviously, with my rewrite headcanon, he technically wouldn't need to look like the original, but it doesn't hurt if he does. Also, again, Stolas' more demonic form is said to look like a raven, so I can see why they went with a more darker color scheme for our current OG Stolas. So I do like that small nod, which I hope that's what they did, because if they didn't, then, well, happy accidents, right? Anyway, when redesigning Stolas, I made him still somewhat similar to his OG self, since my first attempt didn't feel quite right. I stuck with the great horned owl, since their color is somewhat closer to Stolas's, and say goodbye to that ugly hat, and hello to crazy second eyebrows. Also, yes, I did take away the second set of eyes. I never got why he had them when no one else did. I mean, a few background birds had them, but I mean, the main cast of the Goetia birds don't seem to have it. Stella doesn't have it, Octavia doesn't have it, even Paimon, which, that's another can of worms, and even Androlphus doesn't have it, so it's just like, why is it only Stolas? And I know we haven't seen his mom, but still. Plus, they never emoted at the same time Stolas' main eyes did. Like, sometimes they did, and other times they acted like eyebrows. So, yeah, like, are they eyes? Are they eyebrows? Do they not do anything? You can't have all three. So, yeah, I just removed them. As for his eyes and markings, I gave him Stella's old markings, since I feel it works better on him. Plus, I'm not a fan of him and Blitzo matching in, like, the teardrop clown thingy. I don't know what it's called. So again, bye-bye, weird whatever you are. As for his eyes, they're still the same other than the outer color. Most owls' eyes are just circles, so I can see how that would be kind of hard to animate in terms of facial expressions and just emotions in general. But an owl's one distinct feature is their eyes. Well, their pupils. And it's always been so weird Stolas didn't have them, so yeah, I gave him pupils, which will get all big and dilate and be like, ah. I made Stolas' hair longer just cause, and secretly because I love guys with long hair. And added more gray to him. Even though he and Stella had Octavia young, I like to think the stress of Stella made him go gray early. I also gave him glasses. They're more for reading than anything. You know, I've always loved the owl and glasses combo. It's a solid character design in my book. As you can see, I made Stolas one solid color instead of the blue gradient they have going on. He's got a lot of gradient. Like, his head is gradient, his chest is gradient, his arms are gradient, his legs are gradient. It's just like, there's so much gradient. And this is coming from somebody who likes gradient. And I made his hands more bird feather-like, as the inside of the wing is usually lighter than the outside. So the top of his hand is darker and the inside of his hand is lighter. As for Stolas' outfit, okay, my original design was just too relaxed and kind of too much, as per usual. So I tried to combine my original design and the show's version and the portraits version into one. And let me just say, I'm so in love with this. Okay. I went with a sunset theme since Stolas is pretty much space themed, you know? I mean, his thing is stars. What can I say? Plus, the sunset colors work, considering the fact that purple and gold are royal colors. So it works on 2 levels. So I made Stolas' jacket shirt, is what I'm going to call it. Very high fantasy in the way you have no idea how he got it on. It does have long sleeves attached to it, just so there's no confusion, as the crop coat he has on is not sewn together. They are, in fact, 2 separate pieces. Anyway, to stick with, like, the star theme of everything, I put a gemstone on Stolas' chest to give, like, the illusion of a bright, shining star. It's basically, in my mind, kind of like a family tradition where every Stolas passes it on to their child once they reach that, like, I'm going to die stage of their lives. Basically symboling, like, the star will shine on without me. As for the crop top coat, I went with more raven feathers, more symbolism, I know, and gave him a moon and star design on his shoulders. Nothing too crazy, unlike my last design, though I did go kind of crazy with the gold again, but I mean, I love gold. Anyway, I gave Stolas a silk cummerbund, yes, that's what they're called, I know, and satin pants that go all the way down and don't look like the awful pants that you have to wear at dress code schools. And I gave him shoes. Wow, shoes! They're technically toeless boots, but still, I find it weird how Stolas basically wears cargo shorts and is just barefoot all the time, so yeah, shoes. I also made his feet bigger and made his claws more prominent, since owls are birds of prey, and it's weird for Stolas to have such stubby feet. And his cape, I made it smaller and kept with the feather theme at the bottom, since his old one just looked like a torn up bedsheet, which personally I don't really get. Like, you have a ton of money. Why are you wearing such a beat up cape? Like, if it was specifically shaped like something or styled that way, I would buy it, but I don't buy it. And you'll see at the end, I added star effects similar to how Paimon's cape is. I figure if they can do that to Paimon's cape, they can do that to Stolas' cape, so... Also, Stolas' tail is now shortened for the same reason that Stella's was shortened, even though you guys didn't really get to see what her tail actually looks like. But owls have pretty short tails, but don't worry, it does fan out a bit. And what's cool about it, it does kind of like do like a peacock where it's just like a big old fan. Anyway, I love this version I made, and I can't wait to make screenshot edits with them. Side note, I also took away the top hat. It's ugly. I won't have it. I'm sorry. But I did give him a more simplified crown. That's gold to symbolize his status and rank, since I made Stella's crown a metallic gray. So when I do work on Paimon and Andralphus, they will get Paimon will get a more decorated crown, and Andralphus will not get a crown at all, because he is a Marquise. He's not royal. It doesn't make sense for him to have a crown unless he's married to another higher ranking Goetia, but it's not confirmed yet. So anyway, this was so much fun. I do plan to talk more about Stella and Stolas during Octavia's video, and a little bit of what I would have done differently if I had written the show. It's mostly character stuff, as the plot is not the problem, but the pacing of it. Anyway, next video will be Octavia, and then after her, I'm not sure. But remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and I hope you all have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!